I'll begin shortly as the attendees start filing in. And again, thank you all for being here and being a part of this.
Thanks for hosting. And then the questions. So we'll get to see the questions coming through chat too.
Yes. Okay, so we've hit 10 attendees. I can begin now. Good afternoon. Thank you all for joining us today at the Next Steps Career Exploration Conference. This annual conference is important because we provide our students with a preview of the unique journeys of those from diverse industries. I'm Ruben Johnson, the Co-op's Communication Associate, and speaking on behalf of the organization, we are so excited that you all have made the time to come and let us ask you questions and learn about your day-to-day. Your background and your whys and whats and whos. So this panel centers healthcare and human services, which helps individuals and families by planning, managing, and providing physical, emotional, and mental health support services. These fields also work to meet human needs, community services, personal care, and consumer services. So, again, welcome and thank you. I'd like to start this off by having some introductions. I'd love for you to tell me what you do. And yeah, let's kickstart it.
Who's first? Should I go?
Just dive right in.
Some brave soul has to, right? Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming. My name's Erica Russell. I am a state-tested nursing aide. I work at Hospice of Cincinnati, which provides personal care and palliative care to those with a terminal illness who are getting ready to pass, unfortunately. I've also worked in a nursing home facility as a nursing aide, and I'm thrilled to be here.
I'm Regina Foreign. Can you hear me? Okay, welcome. Good to see everybody. So I'm a retired certified nurse midwife, but today I want to be talking about the career of doula. So I started out as a doula. I worked with doulas over all my years as a midwife, and I actually signed off those who are becoming certified as doulas. And it's an exceptional career path that some people don't know about. And if they want to go on to become a midwife, fine, but you can just park yourself right there as doulas, helping women in labor having their babies, or as postpartum doulas where you help the women at home with their new babies during those stressful times.
Hi, everybody. I'm Colleen Creighton. I'm a consultant right now, but I have a long history of working with health and human services, both at the national level, up on Congress with some national nonprofits like Major League Baseball and Marvel, and in the grassroots in a lot of communities. So I've touched everything from substance abuse to over-the-counter medication and pediatric kids ending up in hospitals, to then I spent the last 4 years working specifically about suicide, mental health And so now I kind of, I've done a lot of different things. I'm excited about this conversation.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Erica as well. My name is Erica Thomas, and I work at RCM of Washington, which is a disability service provider in Washington, DC. And I am the education outreach manager. So the job title doesn't exactly say a lot about what I do, but I hope that we can, talk more about this later so you can hear about different career paths and all. But I just baseline, I run a lot of different programs that relate to you around employment opportunities for transitional youth, youth with disabilities, to make sure that you're successful, to give you those tools that you need to be successful in the workplace. So I'm excited to talk more about this and excited for you to hear about what we're doing at RCM that can support you.
Thank you. I can't wait to explore that, Erica, later. Can you guys all tell me or describe what the journey has been like to get to this career destination that you are in?
Can I start? My degrees have nothing to do with what I do. So let's just throw that out there. I've always had a passion for helping people, for serving people, treating people with kindness, with respect. My parents were very big on volunteering when I grew up, so I had like a lot of different volunteer opportunities. And one opportunity that stuck out to me a lot was volunteering with Special Olympics. And it just amazed me. And, having friends and families with disabilities, some seen and some unseen. So I've always been around people with disabilities. My background is in like health and wellness. So to put the two together, to mesh the two, it kind of like married and like here I am now. I did like a lot of community work. I used to work for the health department in DC. I worked for the Georgetown University Center for Child and Human Development, where I focused on adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities in Washington, DC. So I did like a lot of health education, a lot of wellness education, and branching off into RCM, I'm seeing a different side. So I get to work with young people, and I've always had a passion for young people. I've been teaching young people how to swim. I volunteer, I tutor, I do like a lot of work. Like young people are definitely my passion. I want them to succeed. And so it's just kind of like all of these things mesh together. So going to school, having experiences, volunteering, getting out into your community and meeting people, talking to people, it's kind of like brought me where I am now. And it's been definitely a journey, but you learn a lot, you ask questions along the way, and yeah, here I am.
I can agree. Oh, sorry about that. Regina, go ahead.
I was just going to talk a little bit about becoming a doula. So love babies, just wanted to be around that part of life at the very beginning. And so to be a doula, part of it is workshops. So first you attend as an observer a childbirth education class, the whole series. So you learn what the new parents are learning yourself and get to meet some people who are expectant parents. So that's always exciting. And then a workshop actually trains in the skills of what to do to help someone in labor. So labor can be contractions every few minutes over hours and hours. And so women get tired. And so they just need a person with them to keep their chin up, to help, bring them things to drink, maybe give massage, maybe help them do some mental relaxation. So you learn these skills over the course of a few days in a workshop, and then you do student doula work. So you go with the client. Most doulas work in hospitals. So when they go in labor, you go with them as just a company, someone they can count on, someone that they know, and just help them deal with the experience. And then you get to see the baby being born. So that's just so exciting. And then some people are called to afterwards because new moms, they're feeding their babies every couple of hours and they're learning how to take care of a new baby and having someone there who can guide them. So that's sort of the process. There's a 2-year window for individuals to accomplish that training, from the childbirth education observation all the way through to the student doula work. And of course, during that time, you get to meet midwives, labor and delivery nurses, other doulas, lots of people in the field. And so you can really get a sense of whether it's for you or not. And then if it is, there's just lots of room to grow.
And for me, I share, Erica, with everything you just said about, I kind of stumbled my way here to where I am today, just kind of trial and error and learning along the way what I liked and what I didn't like. And so my background is actually international relations and foreign affairs. I've lived overseas. I've worked overseas for years. And then when I came home, I said, I kind of want to get back into what's life back in America again. What does that look like? And so I worked for an association. And if you live in this region, there's an organization for every single topic or every single industry, every single field out there. So I started working for one. And like Erica, you said, kids have my heart, right? Because there's just always something that they need. There's positivity. It's just so much fun. And Regina, like I'm sure too, with babies, like, cause you can see so much potential. And so I said, how can we help? And the kids were dying because they were abusing substances. And one of the things we said, how do we, what can we do? And so we started, what I loved, it became like a puzzle piece for me. It wasn't just, I go to work and that's it. It was, who can we work with? We ended up partnering with like Batman. We partnered with local community health organizations. We partnered with just students. And everyone came together around the same table to say, we all want to help. What do we do? And for me, everything forward, that changed. I said, I don't want to do international relations again. I want to get back into community-based where we piece these puzzles together. What's the problem? Who do we need to help? And how do we make it happen? And so everything I've done since then has been kind of the same way. And just a quick example, we worked a lot with students when I worked in suicide and mental health. And there's this one girl in Michigan, she formed together, she did Dungeons and Dragons. And she said, I thought it was a small world. But one of the things I realized is I want to raise money for mental health. And so she started a game, just one game. And then from there, realized then it was 10 games around the country. Then it was 50 games online. And she was able to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars for the causes she felt that was important by doing something she liked. So that's why I guess my approach is a little bit different. And then there isn't just one set thing. You can kind of find your way and you eventually will figure it out. Like, what do you really like? You can make an opportunity as well.
That's awesome. I'm so impressed with everyone thus far. So my journey into hospice work it's like a lot of other people, it was not a straight line. I'm actually a stand-up comic. That I had gone to law school. I'd been a stockbroker. I was on an ABC reality show in 2012, if you can believe it. I was a cocktail waitress. I was a preschool teacher. I did it all. And if you had ever told me 10 years ago that I would end up working in hospice, I would not have believed you. But I think for me, like I was an advertising writer in Los Angeles and it made good money, but it didn't have any soul to it. And I think it's important, like in general, when you're choosing a career, to think about what motivates you, because I'm actually not very money motivated, right? Like what gets me up for work every day is the fact that somebody needs me, and it is not easy work. It's obviously, when a patient is passing and their family is dealing with that, it's sensitive, it's hard. It's emotionally taxing in some ways, but it's so, so rewarding in other ways. And, if you're interested in being a nursing aide, there's plenty of opportunities. You're always going to be employed because the demand is tremendous, whether you want to work in a nursing home, a hospital, whatever. For me, it was only a 2-week course. I went to Great Oaks, and then you do like 2 days of actually working in a facility doing aid work. But it's just it's such a special thing. And I think it's a calling for some people. You really have the opportunity to bring great, great comfort to people. it's cool that Regina is a doula, because I'm actually in January, I'm taking a course under what she calls a death doula. Her name's Alua Arthur out of Los Angeles. And she teaches a 3-month course on doing full service end of life planning for the family. And because I have an estate settlement background, and basically you go with the family and the patient from a terminal diagnosis to, planning how that person wants to pass, and through to the funeral arrangements and like the financial settlement of the estate. So it's a cool job. It takes an empathetic person, but I go home every day feeling like I made a difference for somebody.
It's very fascinating hearing that the journey, where the journey started, it's not a straight line to where it is for you all. With where you are and what you do presently, was there an influence or someone that you spoke to in a mentor-mentee type of fashion that kind of guided you into the fold?
I think for me, I don't know if there wasn't one person I can really point to. I think friends kind of testing, they knew me best, friends and family. But I think a lot of what drove me is the opposite. I saw a lot of examples of what I didn't want to be. And I saw a lot of examples, others in the same field and others in the organizations that I didn't want to be like. So I kind of said, that's not it. I don't exactly know what or how, but I know it's not that. And so I'm going to figure it out.
I think for me, it might sound corny, but my parents were always like, get out there, figure it out. It's okay if you make a mistake, it's okay, and then I've been working since I was 14 years old. So it's like, you meet people and people have an impact on you, along, your journey as a young person. And I found, different people who maybe I don't remember their names, but, someone who might've pointed me into this direction, or you're really good at this. You're really good at talking to other people. You should look into doing something like this. So it's like those heroes that, that you don't remember, but they kind of like help you along the way. And just some of the volunteer experiences that I've had, like, names stick out, people who have helped me to get jobs, who have encouraged me to apply for jobs, people who have encouraged me to, take different classes, to take advantage of different opportunities. So I can't stress enough the importance of mentorship. And it doesn't have to be a mentor. So like Colleen said, it could be a friend. It can be someone who knows you best, just someone to give you a little bit of advice and a little bit of push to help you along on your journey. And just don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to, talk to someone about what they do and ask them about what they do. Or if you know someone who does something cool and you're interested in that, like that's how these opportunities present themselves. And that's how you can kind of map out what your path is going to be like. And I mean, it might be a windy path. You never know. It might be a straightforward path. So it's really up to you. And, it's your personal process, and just take advantage of it.
I guess for me, when I was a young woman, I expected I would have children, but I didn't have children. I wasn't pregnant. And I saw an ad for a lecture on natural childbirth. And I thought, I'm just going to go to that just to see what it was. And it turns out the speaker was Susan McCutcheon-Rosick, who was the first Bradley Method teacher of a different method of childbirth. And I met her then again over the years several times, but mostly it was just haphazardly picking something that might have attracted my interest and just spending a couple hours sitting, meeting people in the room and listening. And then it all paid off.
For me, like, I think I already sort of partially answered this question, but I had seen a TED Talk by a woman named Alua Arthur, who is a death doula, right? Or like an end of life planner. And she's really a pioneer in the field. And there was so much about her personality and her outlook on life and her outlook on death that really resonated with me. It's something that nobody really likes to talk about. But, when I worked in a nursing home facility, I just thought, we can do this better. It's, for me, the satisfaction of my role is, first of all, I get to spend so much time with so many cool old people. Like, my grandparents passed when I was very young. So I just love hearing their stories. I get to spend more personal time with the patient than the doctors or the nurses. And I think the role of hospice is to sort of take the weight off of the family so that they can focus, as they rightfully should, on saying goodbye and that process and making it a dignified and joyful one for the person as much as possible. So watch TED Talks, see if somebody inspires you. And I love what Erica said about, reaching out, networking. Don't be afraid to ask people how they got where they got to and what drives them.
So can you guys walk me through what a day-to-day looks like for you all?
The doulas don't have a day-to-day. Oh, go ahead.
Were you finished, Regina?
Okay. Oh, I was trying to, another screen came up. I thought someone was speaking. Okay. So they don't have a day-to-day, they have a month-to-month. So a typical doula would have about 5 clients, and she would plan with them and with her own schedule, sometimes around other things she's doing, to do a home visit and meet with the potential mom and just get to know her and start a relationship. And she would be on call. So while she's doing the rest of her life, she would have her phone ready. And if one of her other clients, so usually one of these 5 women who are due in that month, would contact her and say, I think I'm in labor, then sort of everything else goes on hold and focus on this mom and what she needs. And sometimes it's false labor, and sometimes it's you go and you're there for 24 hours, and sometimes you go and you're there for a little while if she has her baby quickly. So you have to be very flexible to do this job. And then you also plan visits for the moms who've already had their babies. You're just checking in, closing the loop, being that sort of emotional support, because this is a really big thing in a woman's life and you're now part of it. And so you have a deep connection to her. And so you kind of gradually step out of her life after the birth. And meanwhile, you might be interviewing someone who wants a doula. They may be having a baby 6 months from now, and you're telling them about yourself and trying to sort of forge a connection. So it's very flexible and in a way demanding, but in a way it's kind of neat. Someone said to us, well, what if you had a job where you had to get up every day and go to work at 7 o'clock? And I'm like, ew. I'm more free flowing than that. My kids would see, it's 10:30 at night, everybody's getting ready to go to bed. I get a call and I'm like, oh, I'm out the door and charge away I go. And then they'd see me sometime the next day, and you kind of be able to catch up your sleep and things like that. So it's dynamic, but then there's going to be periods where there's not much going on and you recharge your batteries and just get ready again.
I think for me, I think for me, it's a lot of calls, a lot of meetings, and there's no typical one day. A lot of it is, that's the thing, is you have power over your own calendar though, too. I think you determine. For me, I know I get a lot more from people meetings than I do just sitting at the computer and doing emails. And I think everyone in the last question talked about curiosity. I'm just super curious about other groups out there. Hey, what are you working on? Is there a way we can work together on this issue? So that's, most of my time is spent in meetings.
I don't have a typical day. Every day is different. There is a lot of variety in the work that I do. So it might be a day where I am just super busy on my computer, checking emails, responding to emails, putting together projects, doing PowerPoints, making flyers, brochures, and things like that. So but then it might be a day, and of course, like before COVID, where I was out in the community, hanging out with people, learning more about what they want their lives to look like. What type of job do you want? What do you want to do? Let's go visit some places and ask some questions. And now with it being in a virtual space, that's more of like a lot of virtual, face-to-face meetings with folks. We do a lot of virtual programs. And so, for example, with transitional youth, we do a program that's called Guided Group Discovery. And so that's going to take folks on like in an employment journey. So thinking about all of your strengths and talents, what you're great at, and try to like fit you into a job or a job space where you would be most successful. So we do that virtually. We do a DSP Academy. So we train people with and without disabilities to provide direct care to people with disabilities in Washington, DC. So that's another program that we would run in person before COVID, and we now do that virtually. I do a healthcare internship with Career Bridge students and Roosevelt State students. So we go through and we talk about all the different fields in healthcare. And we do have doula on there, Regina. And so now, Erica, we do have hospice, but we're going to add some, I'm going to talk to you all so that we can get some more points in there about these things. So we go through and we just talk about all the different fields in healthcare and see if anything is of interest to you. If you find something else that's cool that you may want to pursue. We talk about different career paths, career trajectories. So if you start out here like out of high school, like what can you do out of high school? Do you need to do a certificate program? Do you need to do an associate's degree? Kind of like where can you go? What's your pathway to get to the job that you want? So so that's the youth side, but I also work with adults as well. So that's a whole different story and a whole different day. And so sometimes these days are combined, sometimes they're separate. So again, if you like variety, if you like, something different, then, come on over to this side.
Man, I am so impressed with all you guys. This is amazing. So for me, a typical day is, I travel from patient to patient. I'm mobile hospice. So I get from my scheduler a list of the patients I am to see that day. And I drive, either to their home or to where they are in a facility. And I provide personal care. It is a very physically demanding job. And incidentally, on the subject of disabilities, I'm sort of in the process of a potential MS diagnosis right now. And I'm trying to find a niche in this work that isn't so difficult for my body, right? So right now I'm on light duty, but it is dirty work, folks. Like you've got to be a special person and you do have to be, for the most part, to do the nursing aid work. You're talking about a lot of my patients are bed bound, right? They cannot get up and walk anymore. So I will change their clothes. I'll give them a bed bath, freshen them up. I will change their brief, right? And sometimes you change what's called an occupied bed, right? So you change the sheets in a strategic way. It's nice to have a partner with that because it is heavy lifting, it's a lot of physical work, but at least half of that work is the emotional support, right? And I have some patients who are not conscious anymore, but what you're also doing in addition to providing the physical care is sort of counseling the family. And I'll have a list of regular patients, that I will have for as long as they are alive. And you forge really special, meaningful bonds with both the family and the patient. I've loved it. And I hope that I can find a niche. I understand the difficulty of, potentially having a disability and trying to do the work you love, but I think it's possible. And I can't tell you how rewarding this career is. It's hard work, but it is so rewarding.
Just real quick, if I can jump in, seeing my dad having gone through hospice, like, thank you for everything you're doing too. Cause the work that you're doing is just absolutely amazing.
Thank you. You guys are amazing.
Right. This is a really good bunch. So before, because the students have been asking some great questions, so I do want to go into that and ask you guys those. I have two more questions for you guys. The first one is, what personality traits do you think really match with what you guys do? I know we've talked about being empathetic, being curious, kind of having a free spirit, right, when it comes to scheduling and just being free flowing. What are some other traits that you see commonly with people who are in your industries?
I would say, along with all of those that you just said, just general human kindness and caring. wanting something good for, your fellow human being. I would also say equality, like a sense of equality, but with equality comes equity. So with me and my work, I work with people with disabilities. So I want the same outcomes for everyone. And so of course I wanted everyone treated equally, but I wanted, when we're done with all of this, I want everyone to be on the same page. I would say a lot of patience with my work. So working with people with disabilities, there are a variety of disabilities. Some are seen, some are unseen. So just being patient with people. And I would also say another, and it's a skill because I had to learn how to do it, but just being able to sit down and listen to someone. So listen, not interrupt, not give your point of view. And Erica, I've heard you, I'm assuming you said that you like to listen to stories and things like that. And that's something that I love to do. I love to hear people's stories. I love to learn more about people's disabilities if they choose to share it with me. So like I'm taking notes and I'm like, I'll go home and I'll research it. So just that whole like curiosity piece. And also I think those are some good qualities to have to bring to the table in this work.
I think for doulas, it's a connection to people. So sometimes it's verbal. They just want you to keep talking and so they can focus on that calming voice. And if you've talked to someone for 3.5 hours and you still have many more hours to go, you have to be a good talker. But with that sort of calmness to yourself. Some people just want your physical touch. They want you to be rubbing their shoulders or their feet or their hands. And so you have to have some of the physical capability to do this personal care to help them feel calm and relaxed. And you have to be willing to study and talk to people to get better at it, because none of us is really good at a job when we start. There's just so much. And then as you get some experience and are open to feedback from the clients, they help you learn things that'll make you better with the next client.
And I think creativity is definitely helpful. I know dealing in the substance abuse and mental health space, I think what we're doing is often, you don't just have to be a part of the system, because a lot of times the system is broken and you bring a creative new idea on how we can make things better. And so coming into it and just like I think Erica said earlier, ask a colleague. If you have a question, don't assume that it has to be this way. And you have to always be tracked a certain way. Your idea might be the one that changes the entire thing. And so I think creativity is key. I think communication is another one. And just staying curious, wanting to learn more, especially in kind of the substance abuse and mental health space. Hearing stories. I deal with folks that have lost parents, that have lost friends and families to suicide, to drug overdoses and things like that. So just being there for them, listening, hearing their story, learning about their loved ones. Some compassion, a lot of C's, I guess.
I definitely agree with everything that has been said so far. With hospice, obviously, like a lot of it is, you just have to care, and you can't fake caring. You either are that kind of person or you're not, I think definitely like taking a genuine interest in people, again, patience, especially with this job. A lot of times I'm caring for patients who have conditions like dementia or Alzheimer's, right? And sometimes they act out, but you have to understand, and you have to be a patient enough personality to understand that they're hurting. They're not doing anything intentionally. And I don't want to say like being a horse whisperer, but it is like a skill, like it's really thrilling and satisfying when you're the one person who can say the right thing or do the right thing to soothe that patient. Because you have to understand, this could be your mother, this could be your father, or your grandparent. It might be you someday, and how would you want to be treated? If you're here, you're probably already that kind of empathetic type of personality. I would just say general human interest. You've got to be someone who is motivated by the emotional rewards of a sometimes very difficult job. And
So what question, what advice would you have for students who want to enter these career paths with learning disabilities?
So I have something to say there, and that would be recognize your niche. So women who are struggling with the hard work of either giving birth to a baby or taking care of a new baby, they want someone they can relate to. So sometimes the thing about you that makes you different from others in your community makes you very desirable as a doula to someone who might be experiencing those things themselves. So if you can find within your community the little subgroup of people that you relate well to each other, and it may be other people with disabilities who want a doula who knows what their life is like. And now suddenly you're the best person to be their doula because you have the most in touch with their experience.
I definitely agree with finding your niche, finding what you're great at. We all have different skills. We all have different talents. We all have things that like we are really, really great at. And so taking some time to look at yourself to figure out like what that is, asking people around you, people who know you best, like, what am I good at? What do you think, when I prepare this meal, like, what do you think I do best about this? So it starts to ask people, kind of like about yourself, and you'll get. And when we've done this activity before, it's just kind of like people are really surprised by how other people view them, how other people see them, and like these skills that you never knew you had, these things that you're great at that you never even knew. People notice that about you. So just take some time to reflect upon, what you're good at. And then like Regina said, kind of like find that niche, find that space where you can fit in, because no one wants to go to a job that they hate, right? So if you're the total opposite of you and you're doing that for work, let's think about those things that you're great at and then try to get into that space, and then you'll be happy every day when you go to work. And then I'm going to stick with what I said before, being curious and asking questions, because that's how you're going to learn about, different, fields that are out there, different career fields, different job opportunities that are out there for you. So just ask around. Back when I was growing up, we had to go to the library or ask people. You have the internet on your phone, you have it on the computer. Like, it's so easy for you to access these things and to go on and just type in a search about something and to get lots of information. And if you need help with doing this, ask someone to help you. Because a lot of times I find like young people, they don't want to ask for help. If you're serious about this, if you know there's something that you want to do, information that you want to learn about it, you're being curious, just ask for help. Ask me for help, I'll help you.
I will definitely second everything that was just said by Regina and Erica. I debated discussing this, but I think I'm going to be brave. One of the things I think that makes me stand out in this job is I'm extremely intuitive. We don't really talk about this stuff in our society, but I would say probably with about half of my patients, I walk into the house and I hear in my mind's ear, like, okay, one time I walked into a patient's home and she had all this beautiful art on the walls. And I swear I heard in my head, she said, ask so-and-so, no HIPAA violations, about Terry. Terry did these paintings. And I would never overstep with that client until I had earned enough trust. And I just harmlessly asked after about 3 visits, I said, do you know what Terry? And she said, oh yeah, that's my son. He passed 3 years ago. And the same thing I had a woman's husband come through. I was like, you know what, Eddie? And it really gives the patients a lot of comfort because they're about to pass, right? And they know, how can this total stranger, know something if there's not another side, right? So it gives them a lot less fear in passing. It's something I don't really talk about, but the other people on my care team, the nurses and the doctors, everybody knows I can do this. And that's why, people want me, even though that's not kind of a mainstream thing. But definitely find your niche and be brave enough to offer the best of yourself to the world. And even if that means you have to invent a niche for yourself, do it. We talk about disabilities, but you've got different abilities too, usually on the other end. So work with what you got, capitalize on what you have. believe in yourself.
No, exactly what everyone said earlier, your strengths, your superpowers. And if you don't know, or if you're struggling to find out, ask someone. And you know, everyone out there, believe it or not, is willing to help you succeed, and they want you to succeed. The only other thing I would add is just believe in yourself too. Don't walk in saying like, I hope they accept me. Be like, they're lucky to be getting you as an employee. They are lucky to have you a part of their team. So I think first and foremost, switch the thinking a little bit, and you're an asset to them. They're lucky to get you, and you have a lot of strengths. You bring a lot of talent to the position, and move forward with that mindset as well.
Guys, this has been such a great panel. So we have like 5 minutes, and I'm gonna pull a question. What's your favorite part of the job? I'll give you two, maybe two things.
Well, definitely my favorite part of the job is feeding back to the mom the accomplishment. So they tend to say, oh, thank you for helping me. And you just got to say, look what you just did. Look at how great you are. And when you see how they light up, realizing that someone's recognizing that they had a baby, or they're taking care of their baby, that's really rewarding. So it's not what about me, it's about them.
I think same, definitely making it about the other individual. I think for me, people, that's what the most exciting part of my job is. I do deal with, I saw the question come in, I do deal with a lot of sadness, but there's a lot of hope on the other side of that. There's a lot of optimism. There's a lot of people that went through difficult circumstances or challenges, and they've come out and they've done a lot. And I think for me, we had a youth advisory board for our national association, and the stuff that those students would come up with, they're the game changers. So I think for me, dealing with youth, hearing their ideas, no matter how big it seems, we were saying, hey, you have this idea, I'm all in. How can I help you? I can connect you to somebody. But having that dream and having kind of that goal, that's what gets me excited.
For me, it's like, once you've experienced the gratitude of someone in so much pain, it's nothing tops that in life. Nothing tops that feeling of like your heart being totally filled up. Like I remember I had one patient, and, you know, she had been sleeping, and I went to go, you know, change her sheets and stuff. And she wakes up and she goes, oh, hello, Angel. I didn't expect you yet, but it's good to see you. I mean, it's the way that people light up when you enter a room, because you're giving a part of yourself that it's healing people. You know, obviously my people can't be healed in the way that we think about it, but when they look forward to seeing you, when you're the only person they look forward to seeing some days, that's my favorite part of my job, is the people. And again, the stories are great. And getting to know the families and feeling like you become sort of a part of somebody's family for a while. It's an honor and a privilege to do the work I do.
I'm sad that I have to just pick two, but I love to meet new people. I love to hear their stories. I love to hear, you know, how they've gotten to where they are in this moment right now. Everyone has a unique story, so I like that part about it. And I also like the success stories, like along the way. When I do my programs and all, I'm telling people like, you better stay in touch with me. You better call me. You better email me. You know, like pre-COVID, you know, meet up for coffee or something. Let's talk about, you know, where you are and what you're doing. So I love hearing those success stories along the way. So like, you know, I got a job. Yes. You know, I'm going to school. Yes. I graduated. Yes. Like all of these, like, you know, or even like something small, like I figured out how to make proper eye contact with someone. Yes, we worked on that for a month. You know, like I love the success stories. I love just those little, you know, those brighten up my day when I get an email. So meeting people and then the little success stories along the way.
Thank you guys so much for joining us in what you do. And it's infectious just hearing about the impact that you guys have on a day-to-day or month-to-month. And so, yeah, just thank you guys so much. I'm sorry I couldn't get to the questions in the chat, friends, but there were some fantastic questions being asked. Erica, there were a few people asking for your email. And I think we got that squared away. So,
and
again,
then,
guys,
I'm sorry, Ruben, to interrupt you just really fast. If you can, we have our booth set up. So if you want to come to the booth, then we can connect that way too. Look at this networking. Hello.
Right? Listen. Again, thank you guys so much. This was a fantastic chat. And yeah, see you guys soon in the audience.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you all.
Hosting. So nice to meet you all.
Nice to meet you all too.
Nice to meet everybody.